Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Reset Podcast. This is part of my 29 Days of Magic series, where each day I interview a phenomenal Black woman for Black History Month. This week's episode is no different. I'm so excited to have Amanda Spann, who's an incredible entrepreneur and consultant, and so much more. We're going to have a great conversation about all her amazing ventures that she's running, and it's going to be a fantastic conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Amanda.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm super psyched to have you on the show. Um, I'm sure you'll have lots of fun things to say. So
Yeah.
right off the bat, as you know, the first question is always the same. So, Amanda, what was your first job?
I had so many jobs. I think my first job was, I don't know if this even counts, but I was like account counselor slash like sous chef almost at summer camp. And there was like a vacation Bible school type thing. And I actually did a lot of work there over the summer, working with the kids and things like that. I got paid next to nothing, but that was kind of my first like kind of feel of going into like a location every day, having to work a 9 to 5. And it kind of got me my footing. But I think the first real job was probably I worked at a salad restaurant. I don't know if they even still have it. It's a restaurant called Salad Works. And so yeah, I worked there for about a year and a half, and I actually really liked that job.
And what is it, like a salad chain? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, it was like the predecessor to Chopped or what a Sweet Green. It was like a restaurant chain for salads. It was like before the kind of the low carb trend hit. I think they were just two ahead of their time, but it was a restaurant called
That's
Salad
like,
Wars. I think they're still around. A few of them are still around, but they were a salad chain, like fast food but salad.
awesome. Well, I get it. It can be that's a good way to kind of get yourself off the ground. And they basically were Sweet Green before they were Sweet Green.
Yeah, they were exactly that. Like you made all types of custom salads.
And now there's like one on every corner. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, how did we get to be having this conversation right now? How did you go from the salad place to here?
Woo, that's a long journey.
Short version, it's all good.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, when I went to college, I actually got a degree in retail merchandising as well as communications, and I always thought I was going to go into fashion PR and work in the fashion industry. I always had an interest in that because I started off as a fashion design major, switched over to merchandising because I enjoyed the business side of things more. And I ended up, this has been a long journey. I ended up going kind of switching over to music as opposed to fashion because I went to school in Tallahassee, Florida. There's not much fashion happening in Tallahassee, Florida. But a lot of the entertainment industry, because there's 100,000 college students, a lot of the record labels like to introduce their new music to markets like Tallahassee. And so I kind of got on with like Atlantic Records and doing their regional marketing for them because I was like, okay, I can prove that I have a background in like doing fashion marketing. I can transfer that over to music marketing. I was working in the entertainment industry for a few years, and I really wasn't fulfilled by it. I felt like I was kind of pushing the same thing again and again and again with all of these artists, and there was no depth and it wasn't very dynamic. I had always had an interest in tech, but I felt like I couldn't do it because I wasn't a coder, and I kind of fell into the whole imposter syndrome thing. But then I started realizing there was opportunities for me to do tech PR. So the entertainment industry and the tech industry actually have a lot of parallels. A lot of the work is very, very similar. The grind and the hustle is very similar. It's just done in different ways. And so I kind of just transferred those skills over. And as I worked in the tech tech field and I started picking up more and more clients, I started actually being interested in getting into the founder's seat myself. And so, I just tried a lot of different things. A lot of things fell into my lap. And a lot of what I've done in the tech space has been a matter of just me running into a problem and applying, old existing formats or new formats to just solve those problems. So, I have done a number of things in this tech startup and ecosystem, everything from running accelerators to, working for entities like IBM, helping them doing their startup meeting. I have also launched a few apps, and now I kind of split my time between consulting enterprises and institutions who want to build innovation ecosystems. Like right now, I'm working with the U.S. Virgin Islands to help them build out an accelerator and a co-working space and a workforce development program. And then the other half of my time is split between like working on my own app and actually educating non-technical aspiring founders who want to build apps themselves and helping them, providing them with a framework to get their ideas off the ground.
So not busy at all, really. Just chilling.
Understatement of the year. I'm trying to get less busy. I'm working hard on that. But it is hard. I feel like the more you try to reduce things from your plate, the more just new things pop up. Some things are opportunities, some things are distraction, and it's like, how do I have the discernment to, decide both?
Yeah, let's go a little deeper on that, because I think that's a common thing. Sometimes, all these blessings start coming and you're like, okay, how do I figure out which ones I should take now, which ones I should put on the back burner, and which ones I can just say no to? How have you been able to sort of cull through that?
It's difficult. So I think one thing that I always try to do is, take inventory of my goals. I try to set new goals every year, and set quarterly and even weekly goals. So my friend Danticia actually just asked me to start a practice. I was always a big list person anyway, but she told me to start writing down like 21 things a week. And each week I kind of prioritize what things make sense as far as urgency and what things are really pressing. Like, will this thing affect me tomorrow? Will this thing affect me next week? And so, I think every time new opportunities come up, I have to ask myself first, like, are these things in alignment with where I said I would be and who I said I would want it to be this year? And if they don't align or they don't make sense for who I want to be, then I need to walk away from that.
So it's about the curation, and it's kind of knowing what that line is. I actually read this book a couple days ago called Listful Living by Paula Rizzo, and it's all about how to like compartmentalize and put things into lists. And I've always kind of struggled with that, but it had some really good like actionable tips to sort of break them down to small digestible chunks. And so I'm going to see if I can actually make that work for me.
I mean, it takes practice, right? I think that's the thing that we miss, is that, we try it once and then we kind of fail at it, or, we don't always see it all the way through. And I think the key to it is not beating yourself up about it. I struggle with that a lot, not when you don't get it right the first time. And it's not that I feel like failure is absolute or anything like that, but maybe, I'm probably hard on myself than a lot of other people are. And, I do want progress, right? Like, I want to be actively working towards getting better all the time. And so, not dwelling on it, just giving yourself a day to be upset about it, but then moving on. And, just keep practicing, even if it doesn't feel organic at first.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't feel like, wait, I should be doing it this way. And then you're like, okay, fine. It'll have to be this way. So What's been the kind of the biggest challenge along the way for doing all this? Because you didn't go the kind of corporate route, and how's that been for you on that journey?
As far as entrepreneurship is
Yeah,
concerned,
yeah,
uh, whew, entrepreneurship has been hard. Honestly, it's been very, very difficult. And every time, what's wild about it though is that like every time I kind of jump into that entrepreneurship seat, like it can be very feast or famine at moments. Um, but you know, I find that like when I commit without fear or, you know, take the time to try to mute my own like anxieties, worries, and insecurities and just have complete faith that everything is going to work out, it does. And, you know, God and the universe work in my favor and put me in positions and to win. And you know, I think a big part of that is also actively changing and leaving yourself malleable enough to realize that wins look different at different phases in your life. You know?
yeah. Absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. I think oftentimes when we're in that entrepreneurial journey, we're trying so hard to get what we think is the giant win. And before we kind of take a step to breathe and be like, wait, we got to this from this? You need to congratulate yourself on that and see that you're on that road as opposed to like, well, I didn't make $1 million today. So, oh God, what have I done?
Yeah. Yeah, and like I think that's something also we as entrepreneurs struggle with too. Like people are like, "Oh, you don't celebrate your wins enough, and you've done more in 3 days than some people do in a year." And it's just like, well, I know I'm not at the finish line yet, or there may not even be a finish line that keeps rolling. Like, you know what happens when you accomplish your dreams? Like Shonda Rhimes says, like, here's this quote, like, you know what happens when you accomplish all your dreams? Nothing, right? And it's just like, you know, I don't know if I will feel like once I accomplish my larger goals, I can just exhale. There'll probably be something else, but I'm actively working towards stopping and trying to actively enjoy the journey and alleviate myself from the self-imposed pressure of just always feeling like I have to go, go, go and do. Like sometimes you've just done enough. And sometimes that win was enough. And sometimes we have to stop and recognize it was a win, right? Like even if it didn't feel like the win we wanted, it didn't look like the win we wanted, it was a win.
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And for you, when you kind of start working with like founders and other entrepreneurs, what are some of the kind of the first things that you kind of recommend for them to do to kind of get started?
As far as in entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
I think just having a clear idea of what the problem you want to solve is to just not taking on, just starting small, because I think, you know, we as entrepreneurs can be overly ambitious and we want all the bells and whistles and all the nice to have. But sometimes you kind of just have to start where you are and kind of use what you have. I think also kind of, you know, utilizing your network and being vulnerable enough to ask for help and ask for support in what you're trying to do. That's something I haven't always been good at. Sometimes I've overused. Sometimes too, I'm like, I need help with this, I need help with that. But you know, it can all really vary. But I think I'd like to just kind of talk to each entrepreneur and kind of see where their head's at and see where their fears are and see what we can do to calm those and kind of get them out of their own head.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of the entrepreneurial journey is to take a step outside of your head and not get so stuck. Otherwise, it'll eat you up inside. So you've been on this road of entrepreneurship for quite a long time. Did there ever come a point where you're like, you know what? I want to go and I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna get a regular job.
Oh, all the time. And I'm still. And here's the thing: I'm still not opposed to getting a regular job, right? Like I don't I'm not one of those people who is like entrepreneurship or bust. I do feel like entrepreneurship feels most organic for me. I feel most free and like most myself when I am in the entrepreneur seat. But there are some cool jobs out there and there's some cool opportunities. What I will say is I typically don't like working with the overhead of I don't like traditional corporate infrastructure. I don't like the rat race of it. I don't like the competitiveness of it. I like ecosystems where people are just looking to focus on the work and execution. So like small businesses are a much better fit than me than the Fortune 500. I am trying to clamor over you for your job or your promotion. I don't do well with that. Like I'm that person who's like, Amanda, why aren't you applying for this new position? I don't care about that new position. I don't care about that 2% raise every year. I don't care about it. Like it's just like I'm just here to work on the things that are really fulfilling to me and to get paid. So like, the office politics, the playing the game, the climbing the ladder. I hate it. It sucks.
The idea of going back to corporate under those circumstances and structures makes my skin crawl. So I'm right there with you on that. So you've been on this road for a bit. What would you tell 25-year-old Amanda?
Woo, girl, save your money. One, a 25-year-old Amanda would have invested in more real estate. Because I had the opportunity to buy some homes around that time, and I didn't do so. And I think it was just, fear of jumping. But I probably would have bought some investment properties a little early on. I probably would have invested in multifamily. But it was just it was a big scary leap at that time. But yeah, I think that's what 25-year-old Amanda would have told her to do. What's crazy is that like sometimes I look back at the decisions I made as far as my career and like, I should have done that differently, or I wish I would have did another route, or I wish I was this, I wish I was that. Like everything that I've done has brought me to this point. Like I wouldn't be here if I hadn't done all of it. And so it's hard for me to take any of those experiences away.
Yeah, I totally get you. It's like, I think, someone told me a couple of years ago, like, you never lose, you always learn in whatever the circumstance may be. So even if it feels like you had a huge loss, there is something that you learned about that, and it'll help you along the way on your path. But I'm so with you on the real estate thing, because that's the same thing I would have told 25-year-old Laura. Because similarly, I had the chance to buy stuff in Brooklyn. It was so cheap. And, oh, well, lesson learned, or that, or
but
by.
You know what? But here's the thing: there'll be new opportunities, and even if that one wasn't for us, there'll be new opportunities. But nothing that's meant for us will pass us.
Exactly. If it's meant to be, it'll be in your lap. It'll be in your lap. So, okay, so you're now been in this journey right now. You're also now podcasting and taking names. What is next for you?
So I'm really diving deep into my accelerator program. It's where, I teach people how to build their first app. And it's honestly been a big struggle for me getting it off the ground. I'm just being a little bit of a perfectionist. Two, I think, often the things that are going to bring you the most success are the things that you struggle with building the most. And so I think, I'm constantly overthinking it, constantly, struggling to find the time to build out the content just the way I want it. But I'm very excited for it. I'm really happy to be able to provide this service. But essentially what it is a 12-week program that aspiring entrepreneurs can walk through, and it's It teaches them the business of apps. They're the best app options for them. A lot of people think, oh, I have to build an app one way or the other. I have to learn how to code to do these things, and it explores the best options for you at within your budget. It also teaches you the some basic elements of design and development, and then how to manage, market, and position your app from there. It comes complete with like a developer directory, a resource repository with all of the tools that you need to build an app, as well as a number of other attributes, in addition to the curriculum and online community where you kind of learn more from your peers, and then week-to-week group coaching calls. I'm really excited about that, and we're building out a lot of additional content around that. I'm hoping to release a book later this year on the same subject. So that is really taking a lot of the time right
now. Awesome. So has your accelerator officially launched? Can people now apply?
Yeah, so we have about 20 people in the program right now, in the beta, and I haven't really been going hard with marketing right now just because I've been kind of working out all of the kinks. But I am hoping to kind of go a little harder with the marketing push, start running some ads next month. So soon come.
As a proper Caribbean. Awesome. And what stage of entrepreneurs are you guys looking for?
So I'm looking for aspiring entrepreneurs or even emerging entrepreneurs. These are people, my typical customer in the program is someone who is already working in their professional career, and they have an app idea, or they would like to further their existing business with an app, and they don't know exactly where to start. So these people, I have doctors, lawyers, I have restaurateurs, who are all very skilled and at the top of their game in their own craft, but they just, may not know how to take that leap into technology. Technology may be intimidating for them, and so they need someone to break it down in terms they can understand.
Got it. Awesome. So we'll put all those details in the show notes, so hopefully we can get you some more fantastic entrepreneurs for the program. So
that would be amazing.
Of course. So I know you're busy as hell. What do you do for your self-care?
So sometimes I just stop and I just walk away. Sometimes I like to go out to eat by myself, and just have some quiet time with my food, with my meal.
I get it.
I always a fan of the beach. I'm a beach baby. I always like the beach is my quiet place. And yeah, that's what I like, just the beach. Take a trip. I like hanging out with my girlfriends as well, and just kind of sitting with them, having girl talk, having some wine, girls' night in. But yeah, that is about it. And then massages. I like massages a lot as well.
Yeah, I'm with you on all of this. I love the girls' night in, where it's just like some wine and some tacos and bitching or watching Housewives. So I'm right there with you as well, because it's oftentimes just necessary.
For sure.
So as part of the 29 Days of Magic series, we kind of have this fun thing where we're doing a give and ask. So if there's something you'd like to offer to our audience, or something you'd like to ask from your audience, now's the time. So of course we're going to have people apply for the accelerator like nobody's business. But if there's anything else, this is the time.
Yeah. So I would love if someone who has a great ass idea. Feel free to send them my way. A lot of people, sit on their ideas for years, which is for fear of, very much the fear of getting started or not knowing where to start. And so that shouldn't paralyze you. There are ways and options for you now. And I'm happy to help you navigate that process. As far as, I don't have any particular ask, but I'm happy to help anyone who's on their journey or looking to get started. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Awesome. So we're going to send folks your way for the accelerator. And then for the app help, is it sort of will you be able to sort of guide them from, I have this crazy idea, to fully building it in a certain amount of time? Is that how it all works?
Yeah, it's from concept. I like to say from concept to creation, but everyone's at different phases, and everyone in my program is kind of at a different stage, right? There are some people who do a little bit more work on their own, and honestly, the time it takes for you to build a product really is relative to, one, like your budget, and then two, what route you choose to take to build a product, right? Some people choose to build the app themselves. Some people choose to, outsource to a developer. So, that could take you 2 weeks. That could take you 18 weeks. And so it all depends. What I do provide you in the 12 weeks, though, is a complete framework from, start to finish, and like what you need to do and what you should anticipate at every stage of building an app, regardless of what type of app you choose to build. And some people choose to start building while they're in program, and other people decide to wait until they get out of program.
Awesome. I think there's so many misconceptions about what's necessary to build an app, and it's great that you're going to give people the proper framework, that it's not the end of the world and you can learn. So that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, thank you.
No. Game recognized game. Amanda, it's been such a delight to have you on the show. As I said, we'll put all of this stuff in the show notes for folks to get in contact with you. And you're always one of my favorite entrepreneurs to watch and see the amazing things you're dropping. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me. If you guys are looking for me, you can find me on Instagram at the Amanda Spann. And if you are looking to join the app program, you can find it at ihaveanappidea.net.
That's an easy one to remember. That is our show. Thank you.
Thank you.